I cut the check, I cut the check, I cut the check. Tell my niggas we up next, so we up next. She shot a text, she shot a text, she shot a text. Kill the I might put the different day, put a nigga on that same shit. I've been ballin' with my niggas, Kevin Cambridge. Oh, you drippy, but you better tuck your chain quick.
What's good with y'all? We back with another episode of Between the Lines. Today we got a lot to talk about, so I'm going to get straight into it. First thing I want to say is congratulations to the Dodgers for winning the World Series. I don't think I said that in my last episode, but congratulations to them. And that was kind of crazy. I forgot his name. I know his last name is Turner, but in like the sixth or the seventh inning, they told him he had to get out the game because he got tested positive for the virus. So he got out the game, but like the fact that he played the first six, and then y'all tell him in the middle of the game while he's already been around everybody that's on the field. I mean, that's on the diamond. He's been around everybody on the diamond, everybody in the dugout. But now you tell him. I know you probably just figured that out, but like, if you didn't know that he was a negative result, if you didn't know he had a negative result before the game, he shouldn't have been playing. Because if he went out there, he was like, all right, we don't know what your result is yet, but just go play. And now he comes back and it's positive. Now he probably gave the virus to everybody. And then the fact that after the game, he came and celebrated with the team. And they let him do that. They asked him, they told him like, no, you can't. But he was like, he respectively said, I understand where y'all coming from, but I'm going to go celebrate that I just won World Series. And they let him out there. And he was out there. He had his mask on until they had to take the team picture. He took his mask off. But the fact that he was around everybody, all the teammates' kids was around. He was around everybody. He had the virus. That's crazy that they let that go down. And I understand why he did that though. I looked up his age. He's like 30-something, 34, 35. So his time's almost done. And he's probably been in the league for a long time. So he's been working for this all his life. And to celebrate it, like, I understand. Like, I would want to celebrate that too. So I'm happy for him. Hopefully nobody else got the virus. I don't think nobody did because they really didn't come out with a report. Hopefully you don't get punished for that because it's the MLB's fault to me. It's y'all fault that y'all even let him play without knowing what his results were. So can't really blame that on him. I don't blame that on him at all. But let's go to the NFL. We had a couple great games yesterday. One of the better games was last night. Giants versus Bucks. And you look at that like, what? That's supposed to be a blowout. Nah, the Giants came out to play. That defense didn't look that bad. Offense on the Bucks side didn't look that good. Giants should have won this game. I'm not gonna lie. I'm rooting for Daniel Jones, man. I'm rooting for him. He gets so much hate. Like, you can see the potential in him, but he just makes so much like questionable decisions. Like, one time he should have just went down for the sack and forced the throw. And I think he did that twice and it was an interception. Like, just go down for the sack. The sack's not always bad. It was only like first or second down. So like, the sacks are not always bad. And I understand what him is. He's always trying to make that play. And when he does make that play, he makes great plays. And some of his options that he's throwing the ball to, they be dropping the ball sometimes. Like, the line's not that great. They played good yesterday, but they're not that great. He gets sacked a lot. But he makes a lot of great throws. Like, that throw in the fourth quarter. First of all, that drive in the fourth quarter was great. How he kept the play going. He kept the drive going on that fourth down. I don't know how many yards, but it was like 4th down and 12 probably. And he kept the drive going. He seen that nobody was open. And then he ran out the pocket and made the throw to Darius Slayton. And the fact that he made the play to get ahead to first down, that was great on both of their parts. And then that one where he got the first down on his own by just getting out the pocket and running for it, which he can do a lot more that he should do because he's actually pretty fast. Like, he's really fast. But yeah, also, and then with that throw that he made in the end zone, that was a great throw. It was a throw that was on a double move, that was on single coverage, and if you don't throw it like he threw it, you're not getting that touchdown. He threw it over the safety of the cornerback that was guarding Golden Tate. He threw it over him, and Golden Tate, he just made sure Golden Tate can go up there and made a play. He made a play and caught the ball and got his 2 feet in. Like, that was an amazing throw. And then that throw to Evan Ingram, I think the drive before, that was an amazing throw. Like, he makes really good throws, but then some of it is like questionable, and then sometimes he holds the ball too long to where that's where he gets sacked. That's what I'm saying. With him it's all about decision making. If you're gonna get sacked, get sacked. But if you're gonna hold the ball, you have the option. Other than like other quarterbacks that probably don't, but like you're actually kind of fast. Like you can outrun a lot of linebackers and some safeties and cornerbacks. So you should make that decision real quick because you know your line is not that good, and they're going to get back there real quick. But it's all about decision making with him and his development. It's all about that. Tom Brady really didn't have a great game yesterday. The offense just really didn't have a great game. They pulled it out. It was basically a defensive game, and just the offense had a couple good drives on each side. But it was basically a defensive game. It was actually a really intriguing game to watch. But the game of the week to me was Ravens versus Steelers. I've been waiting for that. Like all last week, I was waiting for that game because Steelers 7-0. The Ravens had one test this year and they lost, and any other team they just blew out. So I wanted to see them against their rivals, and I feel like it lived up to the hype. It lived up to the hype. Very, very gritty game. In the rain too, like it was so perfect. It was so perfect. But I said this, and I said this about Tennessee when they was about to play the Steelers. Like I said, this Steelers defense is different from what these top offenses have ever seen. I mean, not ever seen, but it's different from what they have seen. Like the Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans and the Ravens, they haven't faced like a really gritty, hard defense. This defense in the Steelers is full of all dogs and just all like players that just they hit. And they are strong. They hit. It is a great defense. T.J. Watt, Bud Dupree, Cam Hayward, Stephon Tweed, even a linebacker. Who was his name? Vince Williams. Like they're all dogs. They all hit. They're all gritty. And the Ravens and the Titans, they never really played them a team like that. And then when they played them, before they played them, their offense looked amazing. Like the offense looked like nobody can really stop them. But then when they played them, they neutralized them. Like Derrick Henry was averaging at least 120 yards throughout the whole season. And then he played the Steelers and he got 75. Mind you, that's still a lot, but 120 to 75, they neutralized him. One of the best running forces we've seen in a long time. Then you got Lamar Jackson in this running game. They didn't really neutralize this, but when it came to the second half, they kind of did. They made the adjustments because in the first half, the Ravens had J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. They both had 50 yards in the first half. So they was kind of exposing the Steelers, but in the second half, they just tightened it up where they did not let Lamar make a play. If he's running that option, the DN will run straight to Lamar. No matter what, if he gives the ball to the running back, he's running straight to Lamar, which a lot of teams should do, but a lot of teams don't have that talent like the Steelers have because Bud Dupree and T.J. Watt are very fast DNs or outside linebackers. And then if he gave the ball to the running back, you got to meet with Cam Hayward, Stephon Tweed. You got to meet with Vince Williams. You got to meet with Tremaine Edwards. You played on Edmonds. You played an amazing game. And he's a safety that plays like a linebacker. They put him in the box a lot. So this team, that defense is full of dogs. And then the Steelers offense has got it together in the second half, and that just pushed them to win that game. Lamar had a really questionable game. Not questionable, like it wasn't one of his games that he usually has. And that led to the main question was, does Lamar show up in big games? And sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. But like, I understand where they're coming from. Like that Chargers game in his first season in the playoffs, he was terrible. Chiefs game last season, he was good in the first. He was terrible in like the first 2 quarters. In the third quarter, he went off. But there was a couple big games where he turned up. The Seahawks game last year, New England game, 49ers game, like he won all those games. And then get to the playoffs again, you lose against the Titans. He had a really bad game, and then Sunday he had a bad game. So I understand what they're saying. Like there's a lot of times where he doesn't show up in big moments, in big games, but he also has a lot of games where he does show up. And the main question is just his throwing. His throwing is just some of his decision making is off too. Like the interception on the third play of the game, that was off. Like your wide receiver, he ran a good route. You just threw it to him late, and then when you really seen him, linebacker was already following you, looking at your eyes the whole time, and then that was an easy pick. And then the second pick in the second half, me and my dad was like, because the Ravens were killing them on the run, and me and my dad was like, if the Ravens are smart, they'll come out the second half and keep running. First play, throw, interception, and the throw was terrible. Throw was in double coverage, it was terrible. So he does have bad games. Then he fumbled, like he does have bad games, but I wouldn't say that he doesn't show up in big games. I wouldn't say that. He's a young quarterback. In some games, you're not going to have it like you usually do. We're just so accustomed to see him doing so well because the season he put together last season when he won at least 13 games in a row. Like, we're so accustomed to seeing great games for him. But, like, he's a young quarterback. You're going to get bad things like this. But other than that, it wasn't really no big games. Like, I'm mad they didn't have that game as the primetime game that night. They had the Eagles versus Cowboys. Like, who wants to see that? That's the worst two teams. Like, Cowboys is playing terrible. They're down to their third string quarterback. Eagles just disappointment. I root for Carson Wentz so bad, but like I be seeing the stuff that he be doing. Like he's the type of player that do some amazing stuff and then do some dumb stuff. Just like Daniel Jones. Like they're the same player. Just Carson Wentz has got a little bit more talent and a little bit more experience, but. That game was terrible. I don't know why they made that the primetime game. But other than that, it wasn't really no games that really caught my attention. Like I was just so ecstatic for that Ravens vs. Steelers game, and it lived up to the hype really well. Lived up to the hype. I also want to give credit to Joe Burrow. I didn't watch that game, but I watched the highlights. That dude's gonna be a problem. Like he's hard to take down on the sack. There's plenty of times when you think he's going to get sacked and he'll find a way out of it. And then the decision making that he has already is just amazing. The throws that he be making already is amazing. And he beat the Titans, a team that was just 5-0 a week ago. So I like what he did there. Pat Mahomes, they blew out the Jets terribly. They were dancing in the middle of the field. Pat Mahomes had Tyreek Hill on his back. Like, they didn't really care about that game. That was a practice game for them. But other than that, it wasn't really that much good games. So let's get into the main topic. I told you I was gonna make this episode about trades, but like I haven't been struggling with school, but school's been taking up most of my time. So I just thought about something that it's going to be real easy for me to talk about, and which is top 10 players to look forward to next year to have a big leap or a big jump next year. So my first player I want to start with is Draymond Green. You might not think that Draymond Green's going to have a great year next year, but from the last time I've seen Draymond Green do Draymond things in the playoffs, it was amazing. And you look at these stats, 13.3 points, 10 rebounds, 8.5 assists. That's not really great, but like Draymond's the type. I mean, that's great. Don't get it wrong. That's great. That's damn near a triple-double. But Draymond's the type of player you got to watch, not just look at the stats. Draymond's impact is Hall of Fame impact. It's Hall of Fame impact. As far as can stick 1 through 5, great team defender, great on-ball defender. Great playmaker at his position. One of the best at his position next to Jokic, even though they're not the same position. But what I mean by position, I mean like big man. As far as big man, him and Jokic are like the top 2 big man playmakers we have in the league. And like it was in the playoffs, so don't get it wrong. Last season, in the regular season, he played terrible. But like, look who he was playing with. Kai Bowman. No offense to these players when I name them, but Kai Bowman, Damian Lee, Amari Spellman. He wasn't really playing with no. He's not playing to what he's accustomed to. He was playing with Steph Curry, Clay, and Kevin Durant. Then you go next year, you got Kai Bowman, Damian Lee, Amari Spellman. Like, you're going to take a drop. And Draymond is one of those players that thrives off the players that he's playing with. So with Draymond Green coming back, with Steph Curry coming back next year, Klay Thompson coming back next year, Andrew Wiggins, I expect him to take that jump from where he averaged this year was like 8, 6, and 6. Terrible. But the last time I seen Draymond do Draymond things, last season, I didn't see him do Draymond things. The last time I see him do great was in the playoffs. So I expect him to do that when his 2 boys come back. And you add Andrew Wiggins to that, hopefully he can make an impact. And a person I think they should go out and get, but he's going to get a lot of money. I don't think they have that much money. Christian Wood, I think he fits perfect over there. But like I said, Draymond's gonna have a big year next year. He's gonna have a big year. I expect him to average stats like that, 13, 10, and 8. I've been seeing like little workouts of him, and you can't really base a player off workouts. Like Ben Simmons out here, you'll see his workouts. He's shooting a heck of threes. When you get to the regular season, when you get to the NBA, he don't shoot that. But like I've been seeing Draymond workouts, he just looks faster. The shot looks better, so I'm expecting him to come back doing great. But my next player I want to see, I think he's gonna have a big jump is Darius Garland. Dang, that came out weird. But Darius Garland, I think he's gonna have a big jump next year. I think it's not gonna be like a Trae Young jump, but I can see him going from he averaged 13.7 points. Oh no, this is his stats before. This is his 2020 stats. Because in the first half of the season, he was terrible. I'm not going to lie. One of my favorite players, but he was terrible, downright terrible. So in 2020, he started to step it up a little bit more. He started to show what I thought was really good, which was he's able to be a playmaker. And people would say in the beginning of the season, and people always said the Cavs don't have no playmaker. Well, it's your first season. Like it takes time, and it took him time, just like it took Trae Young time. That just don't go right together. It took Trae Young time to get where he's at now, but like in his rookie season, he started off so terrible. His 3-point percentage was terrible. Playmaking wasn't even that good. But then in the second half of that year, he went crazy. And this is not the same level as Trae Young, but it's like sort of like the same thing. Like in the beginning, Darius was barely averaging 10 points. This assist was like 2 or 3. Now in 2020, he averaged 13.7 points, 5.1 assists, and shooting great, 35% from the 3. So I've always said it like Darius he's able to play make, especially off the pick and roll. His playmaking off pick and roll is amazing to me. But next year is just gonna come with him shooting better. He didn't really shoot as well as he could have shot last year, and his confidence wasn't up like that. Because if you look at it, he had so much to go through. Tristan Thompson was trying to get that bag this offseason. So he was trying to play the best he can play. Kevin Love was trying to get out of there. He was trying to show people that he's still able to play at a high level. So he took the ball away from Darius a lot. Then you add Andre Drummond. He took the ball away from Darius. Then you add Colin Sexton, who is our number one option. I said, all right, like Cavs one of my favorite teams because they got 2 of my favorite players. And he was our number one option. So all 4 of them took the ball away from Darius a lot. So you really didn't get to see Darius do that much playmaking. He was basically a spot-up shooter. He'll take the ball down the court, but after that, he's giving it up to one of those 4 players. So I understand why he started off so terrible. And then in the second half of the season, when those players started to get hurt, like Kevin Love missed some time, Tristan Thompson missed some time, Andre Drummond missed some time, he started to up his game more. So when the ball is mostly in his hand a lot, that's when you're going to see Darius make the most plays. And that's where he went off the second half of the season. Well, I wouldn't say went off. But he did his thing the second half of the season, did what I expected him to do. So I expect him to take a big jump next season. I think he's going to average at least 16 or 17 points. And I say he's going to average those 5 assists throughout the whole season. And it's going to be a lot of big games from Darius Garland. I see it coming from him and Colin Sexton. They're going to have a great second year together. Hopefully no injuries. But yeah, it's going to be a great season for him next year. My next player is D'Angelo Russell. I think D'Lo and Cat, Karl-Anthony Towns, that's about to be amazing. That's about to be amazing to see. And it sucks that they have like nobody else after that, but just them 2 together is going to, that pick and roll, unstoppable. It's unstoppable. Cat can pop, shoot that 3, or he can pass the Cat and he'll drive on you, or D'Lo off that pick and roll mid-range shot, or Hezzy layup. Like that pick and roll is going to be unstoppable. But D'Lo didn't really have a great season last year, and he barely played last year. But when he played, he averaged 23 points, 6 assists, and great shooting splits. But he really didn't play like that at all last year. He was always hurt until he got traded. But he was always hurt. But he had a couple great games. Like that game against the Timberwolves, when he was on the Warriors, he killed them. He hit 52. He killed them. That was a great game. And I'm so happy that he got traded because nobody really didn't know what his role was going to be when Steph and Clay came back, and also Draymond. So I thought like when they came back, he'll probably turn into a spot-up shooter, and that's not his game. So I'm happy that he got a chance to run this team along with his best friend. So that's a plus. So like I'm happy that he's not on that team no more. I'm happy that he's on this Timberwolves team, and hopefully they can make a playoff push next season. They're talking about doing a play-in tournament, so like next season, really all if you're separated by a little bit of less, and you separated by a little bit of games, there's going to be a play-in tournament. So you really only have to make like the 8th through 10th seed. You only got to make that. So he's going to have a chance to make the playoffs. Because this Timberwolves team, with those two in the beginning, those two as the leaders, they're not that bad. Hopefully Jared Culver takes a step. Josh Okogie takes a step. Hopefully they do something with this first round pick. They talking about getting a wing. It's not really no wing that's available. I was trying to think of a wing that's available. It's not a wing available for first overall pick. And they keep bringing up Oladipo's name. Oladipo is not worth the first overall pick, and that's my favorite one of my favorite players. But he's not. He came back. He looked decent, but even Oladipo, when he was the All-Star and most improved player, I still wouldn't trade him for an overall pick, first overall pick. I don't know. I don't think that's the type of person you want. But I understand they want somebody that's ready to win now, because that's what they're ready to do. They want to win now. They want to go to the playoffs now. But I say you just either trade down or you just draft Anthony Edwards. I mean, I think that's a perfect fit next to D'Lo. But I don't know. We'll see what they do. But my fourth, it's my fourth person. I think Lauri Markkanen is going to have a great year. So his sophomore season, he went crazy. He averaged 18.7 points, 6.3 rebounds, great shooting splits. But then his third season, his terrible coach, Jim Boylan, decided to turn him into a spot-up shooter. When he's able to do that, but that's not him. Lauri is way more than a spot-up shooter. And that's part of the reason why Jim Boylan is not the coach no more, because he was just terrible. Like, nobody liked him. And he put a halt in his development. Like, he stopped his development because I think I seen a report that said he want Lauri to shoot 9 threes a game and just spot up. He said just keep shooting the spot up. But that's not him. So that definitely stopped his development. But I think now that he's not the coach, and now that his role is going to step up, like he's going to be that second option next to Zach LaVine, like he was in that second year when he went crazy. I think he's going to have that same year this year. So hopefully he can step his game up. Hopefully, I don't know. I think he's going to have a really great year though. So, cause it's nobody that's going to block him from taking a shot except Zach LaVine, and they work really well together. So hopefully he has a great year. My next player is Paul George. Paul George, he's getting a lot of hate. Like these Instagram polls I be seeing where it has like two players and you get to pick which one is better. It was like Paul George or Chris Middleton, and 61% of people said Chris Middleton. I'm like, yo, what is wrong with y'all? He had one bad. It wasn't even a playoff because he played decent in the playoff. But like the bubble, it wasn't that great for him. I admit that. But the dude, this season, he still averaged 21.5 points. But the dude just 1 year ago was just top 3 in most MVP and top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year. The dude was just amazing. He had an off season. He was dealing with injuries this whole season. And the fact that he had a bad bubble, y'all don't remember what the dude did like literally 1 year ago? I'm telling you, 28 points a game, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals a game. Y'all don't remember that? Like, this is not going to be the same Paul George you're going to see next year. Like, he's going to come back and probably be right back where he was a year ago. He was dealing with an injury all year, shoulder injury all year. So, he's going to come back. In the bubble, like, he had a bad bubble. A lot of players had bad bubble. It's a different experience. You're playing in front of no fans. You don't have your family with you for most of the time. You're like in jail, basically. You're limited to the activities you can do outside of basketball. Like, it's not normal life. So, I'm not going to judge what he did off the bubble and say, oh, he's decreasing. No, Paul George is still going to be a top player next year. I can't wait till he has this revenge season. I can't wait because people forget what Paul George is. Dude is amazing. One of the smoothest buckets we've ever seen. And one of the best wing defenders we've seen. And you put him in Kawhi and you get Montrezl Harrell out of there, and you probably got to get a real point guard because Pat Bev is not a real point guard. This team's gonna be right back in the contention for the title. So I'm not gonna look at this last season and say Paul George regressing. I just think people disrespecting his name at this point. They're being real disrespectful. But my next player is De'Aaron Fox. In 2020, like before the season stopped, well, actually in the whole 2020, he's averaging 23 points, 7 assists, 7 assists, 1 steal a game. And around when the season did stop, the Kings were not the best team in the league, obviously, but they were like on a win streak. They were playing the best. They were the hottest team in the league, and he was the main part of it. And hopefully next year they can go back to being that team that's fighting for that AFC like they was the last 2 years. But I feel like De'Aaron's going to have a great year next year. Great defender, great playmaker, great leader for his age. But it's been a lot of stuff talked about him lately. Like he sold his house in LA. Everybody think he's about to request a trade, but like, no, you can't really buy too much into that. Like, sold his house. Maybe he's about to upgrade. Maybe he's about to get a bigger house. Even though that house he sold big as hell. But maybe he's about to get a bigger house. But I expect him to have a great year next year. Hopefully no injuries. Hopefully Sacramento can get their stuff figured out. Like with putting Buddy Hield on the bench and starting Bogdan. No, that was Bogdan. So we're starting Bogdan. Hopefully they can get their stuff figured out. They talking about trading Buddy, but then now they're talking about they don't want to trade him no more. I think it's just time to get Buddy out. Like, just trade him. While his value is still high. But Sacramento's always been a place where you just don't know with them. That's why they haven't been in the playoffs in so long. Well, my next player I think is going to take a lead is Cam Reddish. In the month of February to the end of the season before the hiatus, so like February to March, he was averaging 15 points, 1 steal a game, and he was basically doing what he was drafted to do: be a bucket and play great defense. He was actually impressed me a lot on the defensive side of the ball this season. He's a really, really good defender and a perfect person next to Trae Young and John Collins because they don't play a lick of defense, but he really He really impressed me this second half of the season because the first half he was getting a lot of hate. He was playing terrible. He was averaging like 8 points a game. He was playing terrible. But in the second half of the season, and I see it seemed like I said this with a lot of players because a lot of young players, they do this. They start out pretty bad because they're getting used to the game, but when they get used to it, they're going to show why they were drafted so high, and he's showing why he was drafted number 10. He's going to be a perfect player that's going to be playing with Trae Young for a long time. A person that can get a bucket for himself, but also can spot up, can play defense, doesn't need the ball all the time, and it's just a really good team player. So I feel like he's going to take a big step next year and be a great third option next to John Collins and Trae Young. And this team definitely going to be in the playoffs next year. Definitely going to be in the playoffs. With his development, with John Collins keep developing, like he's one of the most underrated players in the league. John Collins, with him keep developing Trae Young, then you put Clint Capella there. This team's going to be right into the playoffs next year. But another player, I feel like the media, just people forgot about John Wall. When John Wall comes back, he's going to show you why he was always one of the top 3 point guards in the league when he played. It was him, Steph, either Russell or Damian Lillard, whoever you pick. In me, it was Damian Lillard. But he was always top 3 for years. Always top 3. And it sucked that he had to get injured and miss a season and a half. But I know when he come back, he's gonna be the same. Same mid-range killer, mid-range automatic, elite defender. He was always on all defensive team. And people forget the season that he got hurt, he was still an all-star this season. He still averaged 28, 1 steal a game. So I don't think he's gonna take a dip at all. He's gonna have to get used to playing with Bradley Beal. After Bradley Beal is taking this big step of being a scorer and also being a playmaker in himself. But before John Wall got hurt, they was always one of the best duos in the league, and I don't think that's going to go down at all. I feel like they're going to pick right back up where they left off, And that's why I'm wondering why I keep hearing these talks about trading Bradley Beal. When you add John Wall next to Bradley Beal, and you got Davis Bertans, Thomas Bryant, and hopefully you can get the person you want in the draft, this team's going to be right back in the playoffs. They're going to be right back in that 4th, 5th seed and battling in the playoffs like they've been doing before he got hurt. So I don't know why they so in a rush or so keep talking about or keep entertaining these teams trying to get Bradley Beal when there's no point. There's no point. Y'all about to be winning, right? Y'all about to be winning again. It's about to happen. It's about to happen. But I can't wait to see John Wall come back. That's one of my favorite players, and he's gonna come back on a tear. I'm telling you. My next player not a lot of people know about, Christian Wood. Christian Wood is a great player. A great player. And it proves that it takes time to get good in this league. From 2015 to 2018, he was nothing. And no offense to him, he was nothing. But he was developing. And then last year, he took that big step, especially when they traded Andre Drummond. Soon they traded Andre Drummond, and I want to say, when did they trade Andre Drummond? February. They traded Andre Drummond in February. After that, he started balling, averaging 24 points, 10 rebounds, 1 block. Right after they traded Andre Drummond. And you could probably say that's because, who does he have in front of him? Who does he have around him? Like, he has to do that stuff. Yeah, but, like, you can't tell me a team with nobody and you put fucking Troy Brown. No, I don't even want to say that. Like, you put Ish Smith on a team with nobodies. You can't tell me he's going to put up great numbers. It's just, you got to have talent to put up great numbers. It don't matter who you with. So, if that makes sense, hopefully it makes sense. I think it did. But he took off right after they traded Andre Drummond, and especially against that game against Rudy Gobert, where everybody think that's where the coronavirus started, because both of them had it. But he gave Rudy 30 and 11. He was dominating Rudy. And Rudy's a 2-time defensive player of the year, but he was dominating him. But Christian Wood is an amazing player, a person that can shoot the ball from 3, can spread the floor, a great pick and roll player, a good defender to me, a really good defender. Just with him, it's just gonna keep taking experience and keep doing what he's doing. And to me, he's one of the top free agents, and he can make a team either turn into a contender or he can stay in Detroit and get his money, because Detroit's gonna give him some money, because he's definitely gonna get some money from any team. Except these teams that have a lot of cap. Like I said, I want him to go on the Warriors, but I don't think they have a lot of cap. Another team that would be great is the Rockets. That's the perfect person they need. Somebody that can block shots, give rebounds, shoot the ball. Perfect person they need, but I don't think they have cap at all. So I think his best option is just to stay with Detroit for one more year. They're going to give you a lot of money, so to stay with them for one more year and shine, and then next year you can go into free agency where all the free agents are going to be Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis, Bradley Beal. Like, everybody's gonna be a free agent next year. So let's go into that deep free agency class, and you definitely gonna get your money next year if you don't get it this year. So to stay in Detroit and shine, because he might actually make an All-Star game this season. If he stays in Detroit and averages those numbers he was averaging when Andre got traded, he's definitely gonna be an All-Star. But my last player is Colin Sexton. That might seem biased, but I really think Colin's going to go crazy this season. He's been doing this his last 2 years where he'll start off slow. Not that slow, but he'll start off slow, and then second half of the season, he'll take off. Last 25 games of the season, he averaged 25 points, 4.1 assists, and 45 from the 3. He went crazy, and this was when Darius got hurt, and Darius missed a lot of time. But he's gonna be really good next year. Colin Sexton might be an All-Star next year, especially in the East. He might be an All-Star, and he's gonna be our main option this season. So the numbers definitely gonna be there. He definitely can average 25 points again this season. He averaged 20 this season, and he could definitely up those a little bit more. But Colin's a player that just gets after it, man. He's a respectable defender. He's actually a good on-ball defender, but thing with him is, and the thing with a lot of people, just off ball, he gets caught ball watching, and then when you get caught ball watching, the player you're guarding, cut to the basket, easy pass, easy bucket. So that's the only problem with him on defense. As far as one-on-one defense, it's not that bad. Like, it was a game, like, he did really good guarding Bradley Beal that one game. I don't remember what it was, but I remember seeing him guarding Bradley Beal. He did really good against him. But Collins going to be the main option next year. I know he's going to take his points up a little bit more, and hopefully assists go up a little bit more. You add on to what you was doing when Darius was out. 4 assists for him, that's really good, especially for a shooting guard. If you can do that along with Darius averaging his 5 to 6 assists, then you won't really hear the narrative that Cavs don't have no playmakers, because they're averaging a decent amount of assists together. So that's it. That's it for my players that's going to have a big year next year. I feel like all these players, they have the potential to have great years. Especially Paul George. I think y'all, not y'all specifically, but I think like this NBA media, NBA fans, some NBA fans, y'all being real disrespectful to Paul George's name. Y'all being real disrespectful. Y'all must not know what that man did a couple years ago. But that's it for this episode of Between the Lines. I'll be back. I don't know when, but hopefully this is a great episode. Like and subscribe, share, please, and I'm out. Peace out.